Hello, my name is Justin Bright, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program, version 1.8.1, in my next small step RP-1 career mode playthrough. And I figured I would just take a brief moment here to kind of take a look at an overview of our space program and where we're at right now. So we are in the middle, near the beginning of 1974, so we've kind of moved on a little bit. But not too fast. Things have been moving fairly slowly. Like our technology is progressing quickly. We are doing a whole lot of research, and the research is going fairly fast. However, I just haven't been, time warping all that much. I haven't been going forward because I've had a whole bunch of concurrent missions that have been landing kind of all at the same time. So it ends up being that thing where I can't really get too far ahead because I'm just stuck doing a whole bunch of missions right in a row. So that's why there hasn't been a ton of progress, but that does not mean we have not been able to make a lot of actual mission progress. So we currently have the Martian Moonhopper, which is out at the one of the moons of Mars, well, obviously, and it is doing a whole bunch of science. So it is down there right now on the surface of Deimos and doing some long-term scans. Actually, that's the flying one. Where's the landed one? Here we go. This is the one. It's not. Actually doesn't have connection at the moment, but yeah, anyways, it's there, it's doing science. In about 27 days it should be wrapping up, and then I will decide whether or not I want to continue biome hopping or if I want to move on to Phobos to try to finish out that contract, because we have a ton of science, but one of the benefits that we get from science is getting free upgrades, because remember, every 20 science you get gets you one free KCT upgrade point, which would otherwise cost you 20,000 funds. So that's going on right now. That's my main source of science at the moment. You see, I also have a transfer window up for Mars for the next one, so that I can keep track of that and send out another lander, because we still have a contract that is active and live for putting a lander on the surface of Mars, because we obviously failed to do that last time. So yeah, that's something that I will be looking to do, but obviously there's not really any kind of hurry for that, because that's going to be a while and my technology is going to change dramatically between now and then. We currently have Gemini 6 up in orbit right now, even as we speak, and like I've mentioned a million times, I had to go in and fix its fuel cells every time, because every time I load the game, I have to go turn its fuel cells on and off to make sure that it's doing the right thing with water. That seems to be the thing that triggers it, is that I need to make sure that it's toggled to dump water, so that it actually gets rid of the extra, doesn't clog up the pipes, basically. So that's going, and I've decided I'm just going to go ahead and finish out that contract when we get to it. I'm going to force complete it, because I've literally done everything that I needed to do. The only thing that does not agree is the contract itself, which is reset every time I've loaded a new craft. Annoying, but what do you do? So upcoming missions, we have a couple things that we have coming. So we have the Gemini 5L on the pad as we speak, which is going to be the hopefully triumphant flight of Johnny Flores, Lisa Kim on their way around the moon. So they are going to be going to the orbit of the moon to complete that massive contract that we have. And that is going to get us, I think the advance is worth more than the actual contract is worth. But anyways, that's going to be worth a whole bunch of money, and that's going to advance our program to the next phase of lunar exploration. Other things that we are working on is a lunar rover. I am building a new solar back rover that is based heavily on the original, but now has the Bon Voyage chassis, the Rove Mate. So that's going to be coming up soonish. To support that, we have a LunaNet that is being built, which is going to be a 3-node. I don't know if I'm going to make it like Luna stationary or it's not geostationary, but anyways, I'm not sure if I want to put it into a stationary or synchronous orbit, or if I just want it to be in a nice high orbit that doesn't really stress about where it is, because it will be high over the moon. And so long as at least one of them has connection back to Earth, then we're all good. But we do want them to be synchronous to each other. it's basically the same thing as our Telenet satellites that we have put into geostationary orbit around Earth, but I've just noticed that the massively overbuilt upper stage, the Centaur upper stage, is going to be able to put that out around the moon and also break into orbit around the moon. I'm just going to there's just that much extra delta V, so we should be able to make that happen, and that will support our lunar rover. Then, once our crew has recycled and become ready to go again, I have Orb-Lab-1, which is going to be my first space station. Yes, so that is going to be the first space station contract. So it's kind of a goofy little thing, and you'll see what it is. It's basically a manned orbiting laboratory, the Gemini MOL program, but it's detachable so that I can leave it in orbit to satisfy the contract. It's using the Apollo androgynous docking module that I've unlocked. So yeah, that should be fine, and it's the most incredibly dead simple thing that I've built, so don't expect too much out of that, but it will teach us a lot of interesting things about orbital station science in RP-1. I want to see if it matters, first of all. Like, I honestly don't know one way or the other if it matters in any way if you have a space station in orbit to do science. Like, does that actually help with RP-1 and Kerbalism? Does it not actually give you much science at all? Is there actually any experiments that you can do that you couldn't otherwise do? That sort of thing. So those are the questions that I'm going to ask. And that is going to help inform how I'm going to use my future space stations around the moon and around Mars. So if there's no real benefit to science, then all I need is a place for astronauts to hang out in between missions. Because when we get to Mars finally, we're going to need to be able to leave our astronauts there for the better part of a year until the transfer window comes back around and they can go back home. Because you can't just leave as soon as you get to Mars. Like, the planets are not aligned properly. So that is what I'm thinking there. I want to see if there's actually additional science benefits to be gained by sending around station parts to do that kind of work. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Let's see. Rover, landing, science probe. I somehow didn't get the orbital science probe when I put the what do you call it? The Pioneer Mars spacecraft into orbit, which is a shame. I wonder if I could just hold on. Oh, I see the problem. The problem is I absolutely do have this, but my Appa-Arian is far too high. So let's see if I can actually get that fixed once I get down to this. Get down to my Para-Arian. So if I just pull. And we'll say 200 and what do I need to get down below? 16,879. 16,8, yeah, 827. Yeah, so we can absolutely do that. So let's plan to do that. There's no reason to have our Appa-Arian this high. The reason why we wanted to leave it like that is because we wanted to be very careful with our having Delta V to do what we needed to do with this as far as dropping off the lander. Obviously, that is not an issue any longer. And this will leave us with enough Delta V, I think, to perform further maneuvers. So yeah, let's actually finish up this mission because I did not realize that I had not finished it before. We'll just put in a node with 45 minutes margin, and that's going to be in 3 days it's going to take to get down again to our Para-Arian, because it looks like we are headed back up towards our Appa-Arian, and that's going to take a very long time for us to swing back around because this is a very, very high orbit. So yeah, we'll get that taken care of, and that is one more contract down. The orbital flight with maneuvers and 2+ crew is the get a lovely shot of Mars while I'm chatting. That's nice. That's the one that I'm going to have to force complete because it's being a butt and resetting itself. Phobos landing is what I'm debating whether I want to do now or later with the Deimos lander. First space station, I've talked about Orb-Lab-1, and finally, first crewed lunar orbit is what we are about to go do right now, even as we speak, because it is on the pad and ready, so let's get launching. But first, I just wanted to double check the price of that contract. It is going to be about 1 million funds, which is great. And that reminds me that we actually have a whole bunch of money that we can spend as we speak. So I've actually done the vast majority of my unlocks. I've got most of my parts unlocked that I have the tech for. I don't have any big ones coming up, and I've tooled all of my new, or most of my new spacecraft. And we've got a whole bunch more money coming in, so it's finally time to stop hoarding my cash. So let's do a whole bunch of points. Let's just keep on going. I'm thinking about 600,000 cash on hand feels safe to me for any future tooling and launches and failures and that sort of thing. Yeah, so we'll save that, and I also think with my next completed contract, I want to go hire some more astronauts because I would like to have more people in the rotation because, man, I'm finding myself incredibly limited now. So yeah, that gets me 38 points, which is just great, and I want to put like 100% of this into science. Like, I am absolutely dying and limited on science right now. I am building rockets fairly quickly, but right now, that gets us 1-to-1 VAB and R&D points, which is just fantastic, and I'm really happy about, but that only gets us to 1.68 science per day. But yeah, that brings the number of days down from like 60 down to 47, which is, I mean, that's good. That's a good thing. One thing I want to point out is in my latest upgrade, I've gotten the latest version of Kerbal Construction Time, which has been taken over by the RP-1 folks, and you'll notice that there is no VAB and SPH tabs anymore. Now it is vessels, because they have unified those production lines. So that's an interesting and cool thing. I'm pretty sure that means that there is only the rate that you build one thing at a time. Like, it doesn't matter if it's for the vehicle assembly building or the spaceplane hangar anymore. It's just I have two things that I can build at this speed, and it can be for either, which is really, really cool and really changes up how the beginning of the game goes, and really allows you to spend points on building planes, because you're able to build planes and sounding rockets at the same speed, and that is really exciting. So that changes things up quite a bit. So all the points that I had invested in my vehicle assembly building or in my spaceplane hangar looks like they've been plowed back into my vehicle assembly building, or maybe they were lost forever. It's really unclear, but that's what I get. It's not a big deal because we are now at 406 points in VAB and R&D. We have 2 production lines, and things are looking pretty darn good. We're building our spacecraft fairly quickly, but we are still going to need a lot more points because the Apollo spacecraft costs something like 50,000 funds just on its own without even a booster, with nothing else. It's obnoxiously expensive. So yeah, increasing our build speed is going to be good. So let's go get some money to make that happen. All right, here we are with the Gemini 5L on the pad and ready to launch out towards the moon. Something terrible has happened with the craft file in between launches, but ignition nonetheless. And we have liftoff, and we are going to see if this thing actually flies despite the weirdness with the craft. So that was caused by the... Alright, not sure what's going on with the ambient light boost and how it's just not working at all, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, because I've got this like vacuum ambient light just all the way up, and that doesn't seem to be helping. Unclear what's going on with that, so I guess we'll see what happens. But anyways, we are on our way up. And we have some terrible things happening in our guidance, so I am going to press the do not press button. There we go. Everything looks better now. It had a coast in there, and that was screwing up all sorts of calculations. But anyways, this is the Gemini 5L. We are launching Johnny Flores and Lisa Kim up towards the moon. This weirdness with the craft is just an artifact of the upgrade that I did to my install, so I'm not terribly worried about it. Like, another problem that I had to fix was that my Complex 700, which I know for 100% fact was a 700-ton launch pad, had reverted to a level 2 launch pad. and was only capable of launching 60 tons, which I find it completely fascinating that it reverted to a 60-ton launch pad and not like a, 15-ton or like whatever the basic level was, but 60, not max, not minimum, not +1, not -1, but 60. Like I don't really know what that was about, but so I had to go in my save file and edit that. So hopefully with these last couple of edits, after my reinstall, we should be in a place that is a lot more stable. I'm hoping that we are able to continue on forward because everything seems to be running pretty darn well. And after I fix my craft files, like that have not survived much of the have not survived the upgrade process, that will hopefully be the last of the issues that I have. And fixing last little issues that come up. And would you look at this real plume? Holy crap! So one of the developers mentioned that the real plume had been updated to make Carolox look a little bit better, and what the dev said is that the gas generator exhaust plumes look less awful, and the Carolox plumes look better in vacuum. And I would say so. Look at how gorgeous that is. So that is just fantastic, and I love it. So yeah, very, very cool. Ooh, this is kind of a neat shot. Hang on. Just the suggestion of rocket on the other side. So yeah, KSP engine light, like I like the light, but I'm also a little bit concerned about, I'm wondering if that's what's overriding the weird light that I'm getting from the, what do you call it? From my ambient light boosts. Because I'm not seeing any ambient light boost here. Like this is like pitch dark, and that's not super great. So not sure what's going on with that, but is what it is so far. But I think we'll survive for now. But I'm gonna keep tweaking the system to see if I can't get this to be visible for you guys a little bit better. You can just join Johnny and Lisa inside the cockpit for now. So yeah, we have a successful cutoff of our 4 E1 engines, and we are now burning up on our LR87 LH2 vacuum motors, which are just so good. Like, I am finding that these are just amazing engines, both in the application of this as an upper stage and also as the core stage of my Titan 3E variant, my Titan 3F, which I have replaced the LR87s with LR87 H2s because they are just so good, and they don't start that bad either. Like, the beginning specific impulse is pretty good, and but firing these up in the atmosphere with 419 second specific impulse is just lovely, and I'm really quite enjoying that. But yeah, so we are launching now into the plane of the moon. Johnny Flores, Lisa Kim, they are going to be on their way, and they will be doing that as Gemini 6 finishes up their mission. So pretty much after this, and while this craft is on its way to the moon, flip that one off and fire up our 4 RL-10s. While they are on their way, that is when we will be dealing with Gemini 6 wrapping up and coming back down to Earth. But yeah, so far we are doing really well. We are looking like we are going to have a surplus of Delta V on our upper stage here on our way out. And yeah, pretty happy, pretty excited about the way that is working. So yeah, I've done a little bit of work on updating my craft files to make sure that everything is working pretty much as they should, getting everything updated to the latest level of avionics, and also going to this new kind of design methodology of instead of having like this where I have high test peroxide in the tank, because my avionics are so big, they usually have extra tankage that you can stuff extra stuff in. For example, a bunch of Aerozine and NTO. So you could have a an upper stage that has better what do you call it? RCS thrusters and that sort of thing. Alrighty. The one thing that I did lose is my heads-up display for my target, my rendezvous target, which I don't know where to put that exactly. Over here, I guess. I don't. I feel like I just don't have quite enough screen real estate. Not as much as I would like to have anyways. So yeah, we'll put it over there for now. I know I had it over here, but I'm just trying to play around with it and see if I can't find a good spot, because this got in the way of a bunch of things over there in those menus. So I'll turn the edit off and say that, and that's fine. So there we go. We are targeting the moon. We are flying in the plane of the moon. So now it's time for us to go ahead, pull up our maneuver planner and plan our transfer to the moon. All right, so we can focus target and come on down, and we this is actually good. We do want to have our upper stage impact the moon so we can clean up manually or automatically, which I like. So let's plan for that, but let's get this into a place where it's just on the side of just going to impact so that we can very easily circularize. So there we go. That's what that looks like to me. And let's go ahead, we can close that, move this over here, execute next node, and hopefully it happens in the sun. All right, so tiny bit of a retcon there, bringing things back to the same bit of darkness that we are in now, but I did a big dumb and I had my target perigee set to 100 kilometers, which would have killed the astronauts because of a fat finger error, which seems pretty silly to me. So I just redid the mission up to this point, which it's fine. We're not going to worry about it. So now we're just going to fix up our trajectory. There we go. Everything looks wonderful, fantastic. Let's just go ahead and make this happen. Although, joy of joys, it looks like this service module is having the exact same problem that my other one is, in that I am not able to that my, what do you call it? My fuel cells are misbehaving on this one just as much as it was on the others. Oh, although that might not actually be true because we still have the big avionics down here attached. So once that's off, then we'll actually see what this looks like. All right, we have fired up our 4 RL-10 engines and everything is going well so far. Just double checking all of my Planet Shine stuff is working, because yeah, we're still just not getting any light and it's a little bit frustrating. One thing that I want to do also is I need to figure out where my trajectories mod is. There we go, and make sure that's off because that was on and causing me some small amount of grief. All right, so with the assumption that the that the service module is working properly, we are on our way out to the moon, and let's just double check what our mission is before we get there. We are after the first crewed lunar orbit, which this craft looks like it is just fine, but we need to orbit between actually a fairly low orbit. So we need an apoloon of 500 kilometers and a paraloon of 200 kilometers. So a nice, very low orbit, which is just lovely, and hold it for only 20 hours, which is fine. That sounds perfect. We should have we should have about 2 weeks worth of stuff on this flight. So getting out to the moon, waiting 20 hours, and then coming back sounds just lovely. I think we should be able to handle that. But yeah, we are on our way, and this is a very capable upper stage here that is reminiscent of the S4B that the Saturn used to get out. Of course, this is just using little RL-10s. All right, so this 4 RL-10 stage is performing nominally so far. I'm pretty darn happy with it. RL-10s are just ridiculously good with their 444 second specific impulse at this level, and it's only getting better over time. So yeah, it's like, I just don't know how you don't use Hydrolox everything at this stage. One of my favorite mods in like more stock playthroughs is the Nertia's cryo engines, like along with all the near future stuff. The cryo engines is just great, and I just like end up making everything cryogenic, like if I can help it. And once I have radiators, I'm going to be just incorrigible about it. Like everything is going to be cryogenic with radiators sticking off of it. It's going to completely change everything. Although I have been playing a little bit with nuclear thermal rockets, and I gotta tell you, I'm really excited about that opportunity coming up. I think that is how we're getting to Mars. All right, so we have our trajectory locked in and completely incorrect, which is just lovely. So let's try to fix that as best we can. What do I need to do? Forward a bit? Looks like forward a bit. And looks like we were able to bend this inward with high test peroxide and not firing up our engines. So I will plan to do that. So I'm just going to bring this in until such time as we will impact the surface of the moon. There we go. Nice impact trajectory. And as we finally come out into the sunlight, finally, it's time to remove this upper stage. Although there are, it looks like, a couple of separation motors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn us normal. Wow, that thing is zippy now that I don't have any fuel in this tank. So I'm just going to point it normal so that it doesn't affect the trajectory too much when I kick off this stage. And then we are going to say farewell to our upper stage RL-10 Super Centaur thing. And 3, 2, 1, decouple. There we go. It is off and away, and our Gemini, our lunar Gemini, is on its way, free and clear, and on its own power, heading out towards the moon. So let's go ahead and take a look at how things are working. We are being subject to extreme radiation, apparently. But with the reduction in solar storms, I have not had any problems whatsoever with radiation. So let's point our engine at the moon one way or the other. Sun down, maybe? Question mark? Oh, that does not seem to be pointing in the right direction. Let's call it up. There we go. Stick our butt at the sun so that we are able to reduce the amount of sunlight that is hitting not only our crew and reducing the radiation therefore, but also hiding our service module tank in here that is full of liquid hydrogen that needs to be cooled. So yeah, that's got full MLI layers, so hopefully, oh look at that, 0.0000 kilograms per hour boil off loss, which is exactly what I like to see. Yeah, having that hidden inside of a fairing makes it much easier to store. So yeah, there we go. We are now pointed properly so that we can safely go towards the moon. We can actually kick off our nose cone fairing there so that we are ready to roll on this. Yeah. Let's see. Now we want to adjust our trajectory. And we can also just use our RCS to make this happen. So we need a 200 by 200 by 500 kilometer orbit. So it needs to be below 200 and below 500. So it can be like, it can be whatever, but it needs to be at least that low. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this Paraloon at about 106 kilometers. And then we are going to bring this all the way down to about 410. That sounds fine. I'm not that stressed about it. Yeah, and that's going to cost us about 700 meters per second of delta V. And there we go. That's basically what we're looking at here for our orbit. And then we should have plenty of fuel to get back home. The only thing I'm honestly worried about, there's not much drama in my mind about getting there and getting back. That is done with Aerozine and NTO, and this is a fairly reliable engine with infinite ignitions, so I'm not super stressed about this one working properly. The only thing that I'm really worried about is all of the service module stuff working as intended. Hopefully, yeah, because you see we're having electric charge issues because it looks like only one of my fuel cells is actually active. So I'm just going in here and I'm just doing the on and off thing again. You've seen me do this plenty by now. There, and that gets us back up to perpetual power plus 2.250 per second of electric charge, which is what we would expect from our fully running fuel cells. Yeah, so there we go. This is our Lunar Gemini. So it doesn't have any additional science other than crew report and EVA report. So I don't actually expect anything super interesting there. I don't think there's any EVA reports that we're missing. But we also have a ton of nitrogen, so I might as well hop out just to see what that looks like for us right now. So there we go. Out on patrol. So let's take a look at our EVA report info. Oh, Science Archive. Okay, so we have Earth, space low, space high, Moon, space low, space high. So there's no EVA reports for us to do. But yeah, we've got elsewhere, we have Kerbals out there pushing the spacecraft, so we have no issues with that. We have really gone above and beyond the EVA report capabilities. So yeah, there we go. That is our Lunar Gemini on its way to the moon. Everything is looking good. Not even exploded a little bit, which I always appreciate. So yeah, Lisa Kim, get back in. There we go. So now it's just a matter of waiting until we get to this node. So I'm just gonna put down a note to get involved with the spacecraft again once it reaches the sphere of influence of the moon. I am going to extend our antenna to make sure that we have communications, and that is gonna do it. So there we go. Successful mission so far. Even with all of the weird jank, we are doing really well, and we are on our way to hopefully, fingers crossed, a successful mission of lunar exploration with a crew to orbit the moon. So fantastic stuff. I'm super excited, but I think that is all the time we are going to have today. So if you enjoyed this episode, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you next time.